Hi, Lee. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedule, out of your creating curriculum schedule.
I really appreciate you inviting me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I always like to start with, if you wouldn't mind, tell us kind of the story of how you got into ABA, into behavioral health. I'm sure it's a good story.
I've learned over the last few years that my story isn't very odd. Didn't know anything about ABA 8 years ago. And I actually have a family member that has been in ABA for well over 10 years. And over the course of a few years, conversations with her started trickling into my psyche. I started really falling in love with the topic of ABA and understanding a little bit more about autism. And then I had my first just random pairing session and I fell in love. I was like, that's it. I'm dropping everything I'm doing. I don't care how much money I'm making. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's really cool. I think having a personal connection to the work that you're doing almost always makes you better at doing the work.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
So you've said, and I'm using your quote that social skill groups are a mess. Not saying I disagree with you, but tell us a little bit more about kind of why you say that and what you suggest providers do instead.
Here, I'll use a stronger word if you don't want to. Most of them suck, is what I say. Well, first, from personal experience, I've been a part of numerous social skills groups, and they primarily have no plan, no structure whatsoever. And it's not even the fault of the provider. There really isn't a lot of tools out there for social skills in general. So a lot of providers are just piecing things together, going on Pinterest or, other social media platforms to try to figure out good activities to keep kids engaged in a social environment. And so when that happens, a lot of times you see kids that don't really care about the activities. They're not really tailored to them specifically. Uh, it doesn't account for their interests, which is a crucial part of keeping kids engaged and motivated in a group setting.
Absolutely, and it doesn't matter whether those kids are on the spectrum or not.
Yeah, and you would think a lot of times as a provider, you think, okay, let me put a video game on because a lot of kids love video games. But then when you have multiple kids, it becomes chaos, absolute chaos. Kids fighting for controllers. And then you have RBTs that don't know how to handle situations like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the social pathways curriculum blends structure with play. Tell us a little bit about how you strike that balance so that sessions stay both effective and still joyful.
At first, it was a lot of trial and error. I failed a lot. I did a lot of the testing in live group settings during over the course of the last 2 years during summer. And that was a good blend of smaller groups with larger groups as well. And the thing that I learned early on is as engaging as the activities should be for the kids, they should be for the staff as well. If the staff is engaged, they're going to make the environment and the group itself much more fun for these kids. So I tried to create a structure and schedule that balances high energy and low energy and riding that wave for kids to be able to be wild if they want to, for lack of a better word, but being able to bring them down as well. And so the structure was the most critical part. And then blending in, like actual activities that involve play, hands on, getting them up while also sitting them down, but not keeping them at a table for more than 5 minutes at a time. And that worked really well.
Absolutely, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. It doesn't sound like an easy thing to design. Even as you describe it, I'm thinking about, well, that sounds contradictory, and I don't know how I would do that. So it's clearly a skill that you
Yeah.
developed.
Yeah. And I've done both sides where it was just a full play. It was a free for all that failed. But then as well, being too structured and too rigid also failed as well. So striking that middle balance really worked.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, kind of switching topics, you've turned summer programs into six-figure successes before. What's kind of one unconventional strategy that you've used that other ABA providers might be overlooking?
This might sound very simplistic, but don't overthink it. Use the resources that you already have, leverage those. A lot of providers may have centers already and think that they don't have enough space. You just need a room. And if you're lucky, if you have some outdoor space, you can utilize that. But really, all you need is a room where kids are allowed to move around. Talking to a lot of providers, they think that running a summer program has to be extremely expensive. Where you're putting your money is in the training, in your staff, and having some type of curriculum or structure that will make the days feel shorter but ultimately engaging and important for the kids.
Absolutely. I think that's probably a lesson that can be applied in most business things, right? It's just don't overthink it. Keep it simple with some of what works. Yeah. So A-Train is a specialist agency in marketing and advertising inside the behavioral health space. So I always have to ask these more marketing questions, and I think your experience in these actually will be really valuable. So first up, tell me about how you go about gaining your new clients, and often those are partners.
That has been quite the journey. I learned it's not easy. Using LinkedIn in a non-salesy way has made the difference. Being real, talking about conversations that a lot of providers, BCBAs, RBTs want to address but don't want to talk about out loud. They're afraid for the kind of backlash they might get. But that has really opened the door to exposure and trust, which to me is the most important thing. That trust element is more important to me than making a quick sale or making quick money. I want to build, I hate using the word tribe, it's so outdated, but I do want to build a following that trusts and is willing to spend time with my content. And then the more time that they spend with it, oh, hey, I do have this curriculum that will greatly benefit your company.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it makes sense to me. Tribe might be, I don't know if I'd say outdated. I'd say overused. I think people overuse the term, but I do think it makes complete sense that that's what you need in a strong community, especially professionals like what you're trying to build.
Yeah, and ABA, you have to look at ABA, and most fields are very different, and your approach is not going to be as conventional as maybe a sales coach or a business coach might urge you to consider. Like that's been the biggest learning experience is how to reach providers in ABA.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's a lot of different types of personalities within one category of business owners inside of ABA, for instance. So what is one new marketing tactic or strategy that you're either considering or just really watching very closely in the marketplace right now?
I've been hearing a lot about, like cold emailing, cold calls, and that doesn't work for me very well. It's not something that I'm very comfortable with. But what I do like to do is whenever I make a new connection, let's say on LinkedIn, I reach out to them personally. It's not like a copy paste message, but it's just a simple, hey, thank you for the follow. Can't wait to follow you along your journey. If there's anything that I can do to provide a service to you, please do not hesitate to reach out at any point. And I've learned through doing that, people respond very quickly and it starts to build conversation. And I think that's the key, building conversation directly with people.
That makes complete sense. That makes complete sense. And I think it goes back to building a tribe, right? They need to feel connected. You need to feel connected with each individual connection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what works for me. Like I'm not going to spend money on somebody that I don't really build a connection with first.
I think it's how a lot of us make decisions, even if some people will tell themselves that it's some strategic thing. It's like, no, you got a bad vibe. That's okay. You don't have that's fine. That's fine. That works. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all of the work that you're doing. I think furthering ABA as a whole, and we appreciate taking time.
So thank you, and I'm truly thankful to be in the position that I'm in at the time that I'm in, because I think there's a really strong movement happening in ABA that's pushing and forcing change within the field. And anything I could do for it, I'm willing to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thanks so much, Lee, and hopefully we can connect again soon sometime.
Absolutely, can't wait.